You are quick this time. Trade via BC. Good to see. Let me notify the rest. Let's see what happened. Welcome, hey DOTP as well. New one, at least for in the chat, so welcome. We will start in a few minutes when some more people have joined. Just checking some things. Welcome, Slatan and Arnold. Amazing to see you guys again. We have some nice liquidity below the low. So still waiting for my alerts to be hit. We just had a spike into this supply. So this is basically mitigation of the first supply, which is also our 50-minute downward structure. So we have here lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right here. So this is basically also our downwards 50-minute structure, and some VWAPs are aligning here and supply. So this is a pretty interesting level to either get like the lower high for the lower low, which is my main expectation. I would really like to see price take the low and then tip into this refined demand for potential 1, 2, 3, depending how price moves into it. But we are already creating some sort of a nice return to zone right here. So watching this, clean it up a little bit. Depends how it develops. It can also that we push higher here and then create that return to zone and then get the push up. But overall, I'm still leaning, or not leaning, but we are reaching the lower part of the zone, of the range. So that's usually where I want to long. Yesterday we were here, we took out the high, but in my opinion, it was not a strong distribution. It was like a Monday's high sweep and then eventually a break right here. But for me, it was not a clean distribution I want to trade. And also here we had some weird highs. So, and the daily stats and weekly was bullish. So when we get that retest here and that push, I was looking for a reaction from that demand. But the way price was coming down was not how I wanted to see it. If you have a push like this and then directly like a very quick move down to that level, that's a sign of weakness, because then a lot of people often long the top. That is just what people do. People long the top and short the low. If price then stalls here, then it's a sign of strength. But now directly full retrace, I was already doubtful of that move, so then I just withheld from taking any trades. And then overnight we broke down from this little zone and started taking that sell side liquidity, which we had built up here. And right now price is basically stalling in the lower demand POI. And overnight, which was interesting, like here at the local range, this was the range, and then this is clearly where price broke down from the range. And then on the low time frame, you can even see like here a local redistribution with like, this was the range, we broke down, then here you can pull new range low high, and hit 1, 2, 3, local middle one, redistribution, with a lot of sell side liquidity resting below it. So this could have been a short. If I was behind the screen, I would probably taken it. Like here, you can use this as your stop, and then target like the sell side liquidity, probably this low. And then this is like a super nice continuation trade of a loss level with a model 1 redistribution for a quick 4R. But this all happened when I was in dreamland. But it's nice to see the, like even the local, on the 1 minute, the models appear. So if you just know where to look, then you can trade them. Like here, this was a harder one to play. But in essence, you also have like range low, range high, tap 1, tap 2. And then this was like a model 2. So that's a bit harder. If this was a new high, then you had a model 1 again. Could have looked to short it. Right now, my main levels of interest are still, let's delete them, the range low right here, and then the current supply, and then this level. Beside that, not super interested. If we show a lot of strength and flip above here, then I want to see the reaction here. Then I might also look for longs from here for the potential 1, 2, 3. But for now, I'm leaning more towards price taking this low, and then I'm super interested in longs. Just playing range rotations from high, range low. We took out the range low, move towards the range high. If we sweep the range low again, move to the range high again. This is exactly what I explained during the new range videos, which are now visible. So not sure if anyone watched it already, but there I explain how your swing high, swing low, deviate your swing high. So now our technical target from a range perspective is, because we deviated our swing high, is to get a rotation to our swing low. If we then do the same and deviate our swing low, then the swing high becomes a targeted high. And that is why you get the range rotations. Not because it's a range, but because you sweep your market structure high or market structure low, in which you target the opposite side. So for now, if we show weakness here, could potentially be a short, but I have to see how it goes. From here, super interested longs. Otherwise, potential shorts here or here. But for that, we can look at the low time frame. Like this supply is buy to sell is now tapped. We have this single supply above, and this is the market structure high. So let's put an alert right here. At the lows, we did not really have, you could potentially say like 1, 2, but it did not sweep the low. So I don't see this as an accumulation. It's kind of around the bottom, but yeah, also here to trade it, the only way I would like to trade it is if we SFP this 50-minute market structure, then break structure, then it can maybe give scalp shorts to the range low right here. And then look for longs for there. Otherwise, just remaining patient and not in a rush to do anything. Like just watching this chart, I can directly see it's not super interesting for me. We can watch, we have a London low. So it's pretty likely to still, with a strong high and a weak daily low. So it's pretty likely to still take out these lows. So I'm not interested in longs here, but also not really in shorts. We can have a look at the stats for a moment to see what the daily low is telling. By the way, welcome everyone again in the chat. A lot of familiar people again, also some new people. So welcome everyone. Oh, wait. 1 minute. One second. 6272. 6272. Excited for the new range fit, still busy with the others. Not enough time today. Yeah, they are quite extensive, so it takes some time, but I think it's worth it. Welcome, Casper. Good to see you, brother. And Sudo, good to see you. A lot of people. I love it. Okay, so let's look at the daily. We have first of all, where is our daily high? We have right here. This is our daily high. And obviously the low is the daily low. Daily high at hour 0, so strong pivot. And the low is at hour 11, weak pivot. So we can see only 24% of the days took out the daily high based on timing and 8% on distance. So super low probability to take out the high today. What is more interesting is how likely is it that this low holds? Or is it likely that we take it out? Because then you know, is it worth looking for longs here or not? Probably not. Unlikely that P2 is in 94% of the days form a new P2. So that shows that the current low is a weak pivot. So unlikely to remain the low based on timing. And on distance, it shows 62%. Moved further. So it's already making quite a bearish displacement on the day. But often when you have a trending day, it could continue. So I will not trust this low to hold. So be careful with using that as an invalidation. And there's quite a big chance for price to make a new low. So this is our daily low. Then as said, like here we have local supply, but we have, is it also a 30-minute structure? Nah, kind of. More like 15 is cleaner. But this is our 15-minute market structure. So we know, based on market structure rules, that if we have the low, lower high, basically lower low, lower high, lower low, that if we move back up to the high and SFP the level, then our low becomes a targeted low. So this is a level where if we show weakness, take it and then flip under it, where I'm interested in shorts. Otherwise, I'm just waiting for the low to be taken out or the, yeah, basically this is PY, the low of the daily low, and then this market structure high. And below that, my the demand below. for model 1. If we look at the daily, or the weekly stats, we have a super low probability based on time and distance stats to take out the weekly low, which is this low. And there's a pretty big chance, statistically spoken, to make a new weekly high. So stats wise, it's likely, or at least like it's of course a bit of a weird week with the Iran and US and stuff like that. So everyone is watching what will happen tomorrow after the market close. That's also when the ultimatum of Trump ends, I believe. And he likes to do his escalations during the weekend. So I think the markets are just waiting on that. And depending on if it escalates or not, price will move. But if we just look at stats, it would assume that this is a weak high and that it is unlikely to take out the low. That's also a bit why I'm looking for that model 1, which is super interesting to me. Say we SFP right here, then come down. And then Friday or during the weekend, maybe take the tap into that demand right here. And if we then flip above, then it could be a pretty quick rotation back up into new highs. That's a super interesting play I'm looking at right now. Also, like it's always a scenario. So I can say I'm interested in longs here, but it really depends how we move into it. Like if we push up here and then do this, then that's a totally different story. But if I'm looking for a new trade, it will be here for a swing back to these highs and then there. And otherwise just waiting. Welcome Sam as well. Good to see you in chat as well. Glenn Fidic as well, welcome. I like your name. Can you show the settings for ICT kill zone indicator? Yeah, sure. Let's see what Sam has to say. I think at this stage, let's wait for Trump to say something at the market closing. Yeah, exactly. I think all markets are just waiting for Friday. This is what is gold doing. Motherfuckers are front running my alert again. But yeah, I think all markets, like what are stocks doing? Yeah, this is also just ranging. I think the whole market and basically everyone is waiting for the after the close tomorrow and what Trump is going to do. But my kill zone indicators is this. My time is always on UTC, but keep in mind that these are a bit different session stats as other people might use. But these are the settings from that BrighterData uses for their sessions. And that's where I base my session stats on. So for example, I know that the London low is unlikely, but the London hours I have here from 6 to 12 are like different hours than many people use. But this is how I combine it with stats. So then I use these stats. But like a lot of people, their New York session, for example, starts at 14:30. So at the New York Open. Mine already starts at 12. So that's a little difference to how other people might use it. Let's quickly look if there is something happening right here. We have price stalling a bit. Open interest is increasing a little bit. Probably some shorts entering. Yeah, nothing interesting. As you know, I want to see delta bubbles and aggression into imported levels, and that's not what we have. So the levels of interest are like the, which I mentioned, the sweep of this low into demand, And for shorts, I am interested in what I just said, which is like the 50-minute SFP, and we have single prints above it. So there is a reason for price to clean those single prints and then go down, because this is like a gap and the market doesn't like the gaps. So that is like the gap just above the 50-minute. So let's make this a gap color, like green. So for BTC shorts, if we SFP the 50-minute market structure into the single prints, otherwise waiting for this low to be taken for longs, back up into potentially new highs even. Then have a look at gold. So I was pre-planning some, let's get rid of this. Like yesterday, when price was here, it's a bit of a weird price action, but there I mentioned that the highest probability shown to look for trades is this former range demand, where we have range, break, potential mitigation, continuation. And we already tapped into like this zone. So this is demand. And then the most refined demand is right here in combination with the point of control of this range. That's the strategy we most people know by now. This is like the key most optimal reversal. So I was looking for potential model 1 into that level. With we are trending down, so you can pull your range from low to high right there. And then this is step 1 at low, step 1 at the high right there. And then we had a sweep of it. And right now we are building some lows right here. So I think we can still get that move lower. But maybe price first wants to go now into a potential distribution. What would be nice is that we get that move down. Then third tap, tapping into that supply right here. And then if we create even more liquidity, then it could be a nice short from here back to here. And then potentially longs again. Because watching the chart, I wouldn't be surprised if for the time being, price is just stuck between these levels. Supply right here, demand right here. Because we also have sell side liquidity on the downside and buy side liquidity on the upside. So there's a reason for price to take this and take this, which often means that price is just gonna range in between and then come to an apex and then take one of the two sides before taking the other. It's always nice if you expect price to range, then oftentimes it starts with a mini range, like here, which then flows over into a bigger range. And then you can play your local range into a bigger range. Like this could already be a potential model 2, but a untradable one. Like this could be the one to model 2, now on the way to the range high, but very choppy, so not playable. And if it's super locally, you don't have super clean demand zones, then I like the model 1 more. That was why I was waiting for the model 1, because then you have the clean 1, 2, 3, and then you know, okay, it's accumulation. This probably already goes to the target right now. And it has, again, that kind of rounded effect. And always if you have a rounded bottom, it's on a certain time frame always an accumulation, which is now playing out as we speak. So could have been a nice long, but now we can look for potential shorts. And let's see if we actually with 1, 2, then we had low, lower, high, lower, low. And technically here we broke bullish. Yeah, could have given it a try, but not anything special. PC not doing anything. Let's look at the chat quickly. You said similar right after. Yeah. Tao recognize you to the lows earlier. Gold has been keeping me with those today. Oil chart. Yeah, I saw Tao. I was watching the rounded bottom on Tao very locally. So let's zoom out a bit. It tapped into this supply. Oh. VWAP gone, decon. So price tapped into this supply. However, if we zoom out a bit, like main POIs are supply above here and then the demand below. But very locally, we had this range. So from low to high. Then I was watching it like tap 1, tap 2. This was potentially tap 3. But I saw like that again, that rounded effect. So here I was thinking like, should I give it a try for a long? Which could have been like from left to right, break it back to bullish here. So here I was doubting like it could be a little try for that high right there, but it was like 2 supply 2R. So it could have been a try, but then I wondered like, is this an obvious trade? And I want to trade obvious trades. And if you look at where we are in the chart, it's basically in the middle of nowhere. So I decided eventually not to take the trade. And now I'm gonna wait, alert there, alert below the low. But Dow trading super nicely. And before this swifts back to bearish, we need to break below this low. So for the time being, main bias is bullish, but I wouldn't be surprised if after this super strong move, price starts ranging for a while before potentially continuing. So we can look for range plays, but right now not forcing anything. Quickly looking at a BTC. Okay. USDT is in an interesting spot as well. We have the supply where price rejects from. Then we form this local range with like a local model 2. Now very close to taking out the local range high with a super clean supply POI. So here you have sell, buy, aggressive move down. This is a big supply zone. And what we can look for here is that this tab 1, if price shows any signs of a distribution right here, then it's a super nice confluence for the long idea on BTC, which is then of course the inversed with 1, 2, 3. So I have my alert ready on USDT. I'm gonna put one more because TradingView doesn't like to alert me. Now on the downside, this is the demand. So keeping an eye on this as confluence. ETH is, charts are a bit messy. We have, this was the pump early in the week, and right now price tapped into that demand. And this was our range high, range low, potential tap 2. The price now below it. And the deviation threshold is located right here, but it's looking pretty heavy. So could be a lower high for a lower low. Or if we tap here, but yeah, BTC is looking better. Right now ETH looks more distributive, although we have equal highs, so we did not take the highs. So that's a bit contradicting to the overall idea. But like clean levels where I'm watching for where my alerts are is this supply. What we do there is super important, because if we tap into it, show weakness, then it can be a nice short. But if we flip above it, then I'm watching this more from a deviation view, and then I think we will go to new highs. And here we have the start last sell to buy. So this is the key demand below. So also watching there, but yeah, according to the rules, you don't want to lose this deviation threshold. So let's see what, like 4 hour already closed below it. So then most likely outcome is a lower high for lower low. So a bit of a contradicting chart, but that does not matter. Still the levels of interest here and here. So then just watch what, is it super clean? If we come into it, it's worth a try. We're likely to get a lower high for lower low. You can also look for the confluence with the volume profile. Yeah, so this was the pretty good looking volume profile with the value area low right here. So if you want to get bullish, either you get a super clean accumulation here in demand, or you need to wait for this supply to fill and accept this back in your value area low, and then get in on a retrace. Until then, it looks pretty heavy. So just waiting for alerts right there. Tao already spoken about. Hyper is, what's Hyper doing? Yeah, just in the range. I really like this range. Especially if we start deviating the lows, take this sell side liquidity and tap into this demand. Super interesting for swing longs. But right now around the middle of the range, so not a super interesting time for now. But it can get super interesting later on. Let's have a look at oil indeed, because weekend is coming up. Last weekend we also looked at it and it played out perfectly. Then my own I always choose the wrong tickers on oil. Yeah, then I get these. Okay. Look here. Look, before the war started, accumulation, reaccumulation, and then all of a sudden, the war escalated and started. It's almost as if it's all pre-planned. Let's get rid of that in the net. So last week I watched it, and then we were watching this local range. And then I said like with high, low, tap 2, and tap 3. Right, tap 2. Then I said like, it was when price was here. Said like, it's likely that this is 1, 2. This seems like a model 2. So likely to see price move to the range high. And on another chart I watched, I'm sure it took the high and then sold off heavily. So that's a little bit of a difference between this one. And right now, that we broke below the yeah. So like the main range is still this to that. Range high, range low. But this is the local range. And we have a range, break, potential retest, continuation, RIMC. We broke below the deviation threshold. So technically, we can expect a lower high, continuation down. So that gives me a bit of a view, like, is Mr. Trump bluffing? And will there be de-escalation? Let's pull the volume profile from here to the breakdown. Where's the POC? So the POC is right here, which is the optimal reversal level. Let's put an alert there. Does it align with supply? Yeah, so like this is super clean. The range, break, POC retest aligns with 12-hour supply. That's super clean. This is supply. This is the main range. It's gold pushing higher. Let's see if it wants to break above the deviation threshold or stays within. Alert in supply. Okay. So this is clean. So we have the range was lost. So this is our range. This is our initiation. We are potentially in the mitigation right now before continuation. Then with confluence of the lost range POC, which like price likes to retest, we have 12-hour supply with 4-hour refined supply above it. And if we pull a fib from high to low, I'm 90% sure the 0.78 aligns perfectly with the range POC. Let's see. Fib. Yeah, look. This is almost like, yeah. Before I get banned, I won't say it, but you guys know probably what I mean. But this is crazy. I'm gonna put my alert here and one higher. Like if price retests this and then sells off lower, I need to go to a mental hospital. Because then I believe we are literally in the living in the matrix. Let's see. Tao is in high time from range. Yeah. Tao range will be lovely. Kino, good to see you again. Good to see many new faces in the chat as well. Like it. Can we trade oil on Bitunix? No, oil not, but they added stocks. So you can trade Apple, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, gold, silver. I will request them to add oil and the S&P or the Nasdaq. Then that's all we need. Gold into supply right now. Okay, I'm gonna add this one to my chart again, just to watch how this develops into the weekend. Gold potential tap 2 creation right here. If it follows plan and it makes that move down and then pushes up and then mitigates supply, then it can be a model 1 short. But now too early to say, but if it pushes back into the range, so we have upward structure from low to high is low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So this is our market structure low. And here we have demand. So basically if we accept back in the range right here, then we are allowed to move the range to tab 2. And then we can see that the deviation threshold perfectly aligns with the tab of the range demand. And I see that on the 3 minutes, we have like top supply here. So this whole box is basically the last buy before the strong sell. So this is range supply, this whole box. But if you have at the lower part of the start of the box some local demand, then it's even better. So look what we have here. 2 buy candles before strong sell. So this is the refined supply, which then perfectly aligns with the deviation threshold and the supply. So that's a super interesting level to watch for potential shorts. So let's put an alert right under it. And we are building nice sell side liquidity. Could be an interesting play. DTC is not doing anything. It's just chilling. ETH is also then not doing anything. For gold, I'm gonna just alert at this zone and the low. Yeah, and then we basically already had all the pairs I'm watching. Let's see. CLU USDT. CL. Okay, like I can have a quick look, but I don't trade anything beside my main pairs. So I can have a quick look, but I really don't care too much about it. I see that we have a new record of live people checking the stream, so amazing to see. If you like it so far, drop a quick like on the video, then hopefully we can slowly keep growing it. And thanks in advance. See, so Champions League USDT. By oh yeah, this is this oil? Or is it anything to do with oil? Looks like oil symbol. Is oil on Bitunix? Seriously? What the fuck? So this is, let's see. Are the prices similar? For the 93.6, 93.6. We can trade oil on Bitunix. Here, Bitunix. Ah, yeah. So then it's definitely on my gonna be in my watch list. Damn, I did not knew that. Is there, let me quickly check. Is there some volume on it? Damn, that's, thanks for the, thanks for letting me know that. I did not know. So CL. Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, well, that makes me happy. We can trade oil on Bitunix. Cool. Then we're gonna move the oil markets. Let's see, 15 minutes. Is it similar to? Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, well, that's good news. Very good news. So then we're gonna keep an eye on oil even more right now. And it's also tradable during the weekend, or not on Bitunix. probably same as hyperliquid stuff. So then we can trade it during the weekend as well, which is super interesting. Yeah, thanks for sharing. That I feel like a kind of a nerd or like a trade addict, but I'm I'm happy with finding out that we can trade oil. Okay, PT not doing anything, UCT not doing anything. It's the same, guys. Every day when I'm streaming, market is not doing anything, and then after I've stopped streaming, we get some movement because Trump is then talking in a few, like an hour or 2 hours from now, 3 hours from now, and then we get the movement. So is there an interesting setup or a coin, or are there any questions regarding anything? It can also be about stuff like this, about the stats, about the look, my man is printing on gold. Probably good to see. For people that are not yet in the Discord, make sure to be there. Could also look for that long on oil. Let's see. Yeah, I think for oil that it wants to travel towards this supply. That's like price likes to do that. But we can look at it from a range. So here we trading down, so pull range from low to high. This could potentially already starting to be in a deviation. It there took the high, but I would not really see that as a valid sweep. I would personally not really be interested in. It can be longs if we come back lower, but like locally, this is like a lot of sales and liquidity that's gonna be taken sooner or later. Let's see, are there any? So we have an 8-hour, 12-hour, 12-hour demand. 6, 4, 3, 2, 2-hour demand. Put an alert there. We flipped above this supply, which then is kind of a local flip zone to keep in mind. And we have on the hourly, not really any market structure, but we have 2 candles going down, up. And so far it's an SFP of the market structure low, which is interesting. Because we know SFP means a rotation to your high. Let's look at the low time frame. SFP price creating some demand right here, and price flipped structure. Okay, let's see, maybe we can scalp this a little bit. This is our hourly market structure low. So we basically have low, high, higher low, higher high. Sweep of SFP of your low means you get a rotation back to your high, most likely. Higher high, sweep of your low means your high is targeted level again. So we can target this high technically. In order for that, you need to break structure in your leg down. So your main structure is high, high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So this is where your main structure flips back to bullish. But obviously cannot not long here to target that. It's not. But on the 1 minute, I saw already we have some structure where you basically have low low, lower high, low low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, break. So here we broke to bullish, which makes this range break, mitigate, continue. So I'm interested in potential longs if we come back into this zone. And on the 1 minute, like this is all range demand. And on the 1 minute, we now have also here refined demand, the last candle before pushing up. And the target is technically the high right there. Let's make that just a black one right there. This is the internal structure. We are now into supply. We have a little gap right here. Yeah, this is looking pretty interesting. Like technically, if we tap into this level, I almost never limit. So this is not a trade I'm gonna take, so don't blindly copy me. But let's say price comes here with some structure into it, breaks internal to bullish, and we have our entry around here. Then the safest entry is to just put your stop loss below that sweep of your market structure low, because that's a strong low now and this is a weak high. Then target that high is a 2.26R trade, which is nice. This can be a potential trade. And also here, like this is supply, where we have buy to sell, leaving behind imbalances. So this is supply. And the good thing is that price is now tapping into it, which means that it's getting mitigated. So if you then come down, there is nothing to hold price back then anymore, because this supply is already mitigated. And this is basically more like liquidity. So then it should be a pretty easy move from here back to the high. Interesting. Alert there, alert in this gap. Let's see if we get something. Range POC. This is 1 minute, but it works still. POC right here aligning with the 1 minute. This is the VWAP from high to low. From high remaining there. Okay, interesting. DD with these tokenized stocks is the best practice to chart the forex chart and a look at USD charts. Yeah, that's how I would do it, because the tokenized, they have lower liquidity. So then the chart is a bit less reliable. So also for gold, for example, I just chart the gold on one of the main brokers. And then on Bitunix, I watch it and just adjust it to how it works on, or what the low or the high on Bitunix is. And for your oil, I will do the same, because the volumes are probably way lower. So this is much more accurate. And then you can just look what is the, let's say we take a long. Here we use this as the stop loss. Then just watch what is the low on Bitunix and use that as your stop loss to the high. And then we can potentially let some run. because also like here, like the reason why price likely wants to travel back to this is because with 4-hour supply, 12-hour supply, range POC, and what is this? Massive gaps. Market doesn't like gaps, so they almost always try to fill the gaps before lower if it wants to go lower. But my main expectation is to maybe we can catch the local long here. I will take out a good part at the local high, and then here I'm interested in shorts for that RIMC play. And this is a little bit of how many people would trade this, because most people will short this probably. But I think it's look. That's why like market structure overrules everything. Low, high, SFP, SFP your market structure low, go back to your high. SFP your market structure high, go back to the low. Break above your market structure high, look for continuation. But I'm not sure they gonna treat this on an entry. BTC looks to be going for that weak daily low. And hopefully for new lows for longs. Gold. Okay, so gold. It's gonna go without us. But then I can, with a great rate of certainty, tell you that we're gonna take out this high. Purely based on market structure rules. Nothing else. This is literally only market structure. That's why I always tell, and why in my course I have a video, it's like 2.5 hours about market structure. But why everyone ignores market structure, because they think, oh, I understand market structure. But very few really understand it. Well, if you only understand market structure, you do better than most. So the second tab is now confirmed. So then we can look for do we get that model 1 idea? Tap into that supply, break structure, short it towards these lows and the demand below. So we have a few trade ideas, which is a short for gold, preferably in model 1, from 1, 2, 3, right there. That's one idea to the two new lows, and there look for accumulations again. For BTC, shorts from here, and otherwise main idea longs from this demand. ETH is a little bit in between, just watching reaction in this supply or this demand for local trades. Not really a super clean bias beside it. And for oil, if we SFP this high, then we can get still that local pullback into here. If we get a slow move back, then I'm interested in longs from this demand. But if we already move up here, then I'm not interested. We need to move down from here, then I'm interested in longing it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna wait for the supply there for potential high time frame, lower high for lower low. So that are the trade ideas. For now, just sending alerts and gonna wait for them. Like the only chance we're gonna get a move to our demand PY is if we low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. If this stays as an SFP, then you have the chance to get back to your low, or at least to this zone. Flip above, and this high is next. It's true, New York AM has been weird recently. Yeah, it's pretty calm. And a late New York session we get action, or during Asia. Like last night, Asia was also pretty wild. Just clean downtrend. So yeah, gonna wait. So area high acting as support as well. On oil. This one, yeah. Okay, so alerts are set. Now it's just a matter of patience. I will try to update in the group as always. I'm just learn Trump. Oh, Trump is speaking apparently. So cool to also move the market. I have training this evening, so won't be offline. Will be offline for a while. But yeah, if we get the moves into the levels, I will keep you guys up to date. Then tomorrow it's Friday, which will be a super big day with Trump and stuff. I don't know what all. So we'll be live streaming at the same time again, and then it's weekend where a lot can happen. It can totally escalate or turn out fine. If I read Twitter, it flip flops every 5 minutes. So one moment they say it's peace, and the other moment they start nuking each other. So best to just watch the chart, because in the end everything is already written in the charts, in my opinion. So these will tell us a story. If I have to trust my knowledge about the charts, then I would say we maybe get that squeeze into here and then down, which would mean lower oil prices, which would mean de-escalation. But that's pure based on the chart. So let's see how it plays out. For now, thanks everyone for tuning in. Amazing to see a lot of people tuning in every day, but also a lot of people, new people joining in, and active people in the chat and stuff. It's really amazing. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we stay in touch as always. Cheers.